Hello everyone, it's Helen here with Helen. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to talk about my experience of coming off of my hormone replacement therapy. I have been on hormone replacement therapy for almost 13 years. I had a hysterectomy in 2012. I had a full hysterectomy because I had endometriosis, so they removed my ovaries and they removed my uterus, and it put me into surgical menopause immediately. So the minute I came out of surgery, they had a hormone replacement therapy patch right there on me. I've been on it ever since. I've been taking Vivel. I've been doing twice a week, so transdermal patches. On Mondays I put it on, and on Thursdays I put one on, and it has worked amazing for me. I've had no problems whatsoever. I've been on a low dose ever since I had my surgery. There was one time we tried to bump it up, and immediately, because I'm so sensitive, my body was like, nope. So I took it off, went back to my low dose, and I'm good. So the dose that I've been taking, it's not the lowest dose, but it's definitely still low because they go really high. Mine was the 0.0375. And so again, I've had no problems, and I would take my patch or put my patch on like clockwork. I never ever missed it. One, because I didn't know how my body was going to respond if I did miss it. So I was like, oh, no. And I'm one of those people, especially with things like that, that takes it literal. So I'm just like, I have to take it. And especially because I was so young and went into surgical menopause. And there was so many benefits at that point in time. Obviously, hot flashes. It was good for your skin. It was good for your body. It was good for everything overall because I was still really, really young. And so many benefits. Definitely glad that I did it. Had no problems being on it. Well, I did try at one point in time, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, because my insurance company decided that they did not want to pay for the fancy Vivel anymore. So they gave me the generic brand. And I was like, no, because I love what I love. My body likes what it likes. And my body doesn't do well with just anything. So immediately I already knew, I'm like, it's not going to be the same. And it wasn't. The minute I started the generic kind. Now, granted, you got to keep in mind, Vivel was expensive because even with my insurance, it was almost $100 a month. But my generic kind, $10. And so I'm like, I'll try it out. But the minute I put that little patch on, I started to have like a hive. It started to burn. It was itchy. By day 2 or 3, it was kind of rolling up. So you already knew it was cheapy weepy. It probably had the right medication, but the adhesive on it, my body hated. And so I tried it for a month, and then I told my doctor, I'm like, oh, this isn't working. I'm not going to be able to do this. So my doctor called in the prescription, and he said she has to take Vivel. So you can have your doctor do that, guys. They can make that note and say like, no, they have to have the real deal kind. Their body responds better or whatever it is. So your doctor can do that for you, but you're not going to get probably a break on price. So you got to kind of figure that out as well. So I did try the generic kind, and we found out it didn't work. Went back to my Vivel. Everything's been great. Well, over the last couple months, I realized that little by little, I was getting these text messages that was saying that your Vivel is on back order. I would have to say, I guess maybe the last 3 months, 4 months, it was getting a little harder to get it in. And so luckily, I always had a couple extra patches on hand just in case the medication came in late. But I was like, something seems to be going on here. Well, something definitely has been going on because I went to go pick up my medication, I guess about close to 2 months ago. I went to pick up my medication, and they told me that it was on back order and that they had placed an order and it should be there in a couple days. Well, I went back in a couple days, and they're like, no, it's on back order and we don't know when it's coming back. And so I'm like, no. And so I started thinking to myself, well, maybe it's just my pharmacy. So I started looking around, called my doctor's office. I was starting to call everywhere like, okay, where can I get a hold of my Vivel? Nobody. It was all back order. Got online. I started researching it. Other people were researching it too, like, are they discontinuing Vivel in the US nationwide? And I'm like, no. And so I got on to one of those online pharmacies, and I found it. And I'm like, yes, I found it in my dosage. I called my doctor's office. I'm like, you need to call the prescription into this place. I found it. I was so excited. And so they're like, we'll be shipping it in 2 days. And then I was like, we'll be shipping it in a few more days. And then all of a sudden we're in a few weeks, and I'm like, oh no, they can't get it. They're not getting it. And then finally they sent me a text like 3 weeks later, like, hey, we're going to cancel your order. We can't get your medication in. So I don't know if it's coming back. Maybe it is just on a back order. I don't even know where it comes from. Never thought about it and truly never cared as long as I was getting it. But now I'm like, where are those patches coming from? And why do we not have them here? So I'm going to continue to do my research and I will let you guys know. But as far as I know right now, I can't find the Vivell dot. And if you can, get in my comment section and tell me where to get it. So I figured out that I wasn't going to be able to get my Vivell dot, and I had to call my doctor's office, and he called me in a generic, some different kind, which is a generic, and I was just like, oh no, here we go again. Luckily, I still had a handful of my Vivell dots, so here we go. What I decided to do was, I was like, okay, I'm not ready to come off of a Vivell dot yet though, and let's just see if I can find it somewhere else. I started only doing it once a week. I savored that little patch. I'm like, we're gonna put you on once a week, and at least I know it's still flowing through my body. Guys, when I was doing the once a week, I wasn't having any symptoms, and I did this for several weeks. I was only doing it once a week. So I was going from twice a week to once a week, and my body was responding so well. I was just kind of like, wow, you can't even tell. So my body's really responding well to just going to once a week with this patch. And so I was doing that. And then it got to the point, because I was running low, where I was going every week and a half to 2 weeks. Like I was just like, oh, so that I could still at least get a little bit of that Vivell dot, but still my body was responding good. Well, we finally had to take off the last patch, which I almost cried. I'm not going to joke about, because I was like, what am I going to do? What's my body going to do? What's going to happen here? You know? So I decided that I would try out the generic one, and it was big. Guys, the generic one is so gigantic. Okay, the Vivell dot are these little tiny clear transdermal ones, which everyone loves. If you get on there, the reviews are amazing. Now, I'm sure there's a few people who are like, oh, I didn't like it. But for the most part, people are like, this is number one. This is the best. And it is. So I'm like, why have we discontinued it? But the generic one that I had to take is like the size of my elbow. I'm not joking. It's so humongous. And you're only supposed to take it once a week instead of twice a week. And already right there, I knew, I'm like, why only once a week? My body's not going to like all of that at once. My body's sensitive. So I'm like, can I cut that thing in half? I mean, it is gigantic. Can I cut it in half and put a piece of it on me? And yes, I found out that you can. So before people are like, oh, don't cut it, don't this and that. I looked it up, guys. I researched it. I did my homework. You can, at least with the one that I was taking. And so I cut it. I put it on. Immediately, it started to burn. I started to get the hive, and I'm like, oh no. I went to sleep on it because I was like, okay, hon, go to bed. Maybe it'll feel better in the morning. I woke up in the morning with a migraine, with a horrible migraine. And I'm like, how can I have such a migraine, hormonal migraine, which I never get by one half of a patch? And this is supposed to be some of the same stuff that I've been using for the last 13 years. No, something wasn't adding up. I'm like, no, this is not the same thing. I wasn't getting headaches with my other medication or burning or hives. And so we were leaving for a camping trip, and it was a little over a week and a half ago, and my head was throbbing, and I'm like, I think it's that hormone patch. And so I took it off. Within an hour and a half, that headache went away. I didn't take any Tylenol, no Aleve, no nothing. And so I was like, oh, it's that patch. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in a rock and a hard place here. I'm either going to have to keep harassing my doctors and putting on all these different patches, trying to figure out if there's one that's going to work for me, or I'm just going to stop taking it now, because I had already obviously started to come off of it over the past month and a half and did half of the dosage. I'm like, I'm just going to give it a go. That's how I do it, guys. And so I'm like, do you really still need it? Now, if I was 34 and had just had my hysterectomy like I had, and in surgical menopause, yes, I needed it. But I'm 47. I'm going on 50. I had already talked to my doctor a few times about coming off of that hormone replacement therapy patch, because I had had other women I had talked to say that their doctors had told them, yeah, you can come off of it at 50. Yeah, around the 50 age, you should come off of it. I talked to my doctor, and it was a little opposite. My doctor was like, no, you're going to stay on it. And so immediately I get weird about that kind of stuff though, because I'm like, really? Do I really have to stay on it forever? I don't like the word forever. You already know. If you know me, you know that. I'm kind of like, no, there's only one thing forever, and that's heaven, God. But everything else, I'm like, no, you know what? That's negotiable. So my doctor, though, was like, it's only going to benefit you if you don't have cancer running in your family and this and this and that. You fit in these boxes. Long term, it's just going to help you. It's going to probably help your skin a little bit. It's going to help your bones. It's going to help this and this and that. You might as well just stay on it. And I'm like, I don't know, but I at least thought I was going to at least have 3, 4 more years to kind of play with it, decide what I was going to do when I got to that 50-ish mark. But it looked like God had other plans for me because, guys, I am now officially off of my hormone replacement therapy patch. And what I'm about to tell you is going to probably blow your mind because when I first got on it and over the years, people tell you like, do not miss a dose. Make sure that if you go anywhere, you have extra packed up. So I've had like a little innate fear, like you cannot never, ever miss your dose or something horrible is going to happen. And so, guys, nothing has happened to me. Like, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And I don't say that lightly. Nothing. Like I haven't had fatigue. I haven't had hot flashes. I haven't had nausea. I haven't had anything. Now, granted, it has only been a week and a half where I have not had anything, but you got to keep in mind over the last month and a half prior to, I was only doing like 1 dose a week and I had been doing 2 doses for almost 13 years. So you would think that I would be feeling something, having some effects of something. No, nothing. And especially short-term symptoms right now, because I know long-term things, maybe with the bones and maybe with the skin, that might come later because it's only been a week. So that those are things that we will have to wait and see. But I'm talking about just any of the normal things that you would expect, like some mood swings, some hot sweat, some anything. Nothing. So very interesting stuff. And so I'm kind of rolling with it and I'm excited about it because I'm kind of like, wow, I guess maybe my body was ready to start coming off of it. And I'm so glad that I came off of it the way that I did, taking the 1 patch and then going like, 1 week with 1 patch and then going like a week and a half with a patch and then just slowly coming off of it. I do believe that was necessary. And you know what? I am not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. Before you come off of anything, you need to talk to your doctor. You got to get with your nurses. You got to talk to all of them. I'm only sharing my experience because I was in a rock and a hard place and this is how everything just sort of unfolded for me. And I'm telling you though, if you have that fear of coming off of hormone replacement therapy, at least I have a story of hope. I haven't talked to really anybody else who's came off of it and have not had great experiences. So I don't have really anyone to compare it to. All I can tell you is right now for me, I'm feeling really good. I'm not like feeling mood swinging. I'm not having munchies. I'm not, like I said, laying in my bed drenched. And maybe a lot of that would have happened early on for me when I first had my hysterectomy and went into surgical menopause, because I did have some years where my skin was breaking out and I did have some more hormonal stuff going on, some of the achy of the joints. And so maybe I already got through a lot of that, like in my first 3 or 4 years after having my hysterectomy. So it really does depend. I think it's a case by case thing. But for me now, like I said, that was a long time ago. I am 47 now. And so just the way I came off it, and maybe my body isn't needing it like it did, and things have changed because I'm not on it and feeling good. No headaches, no nothing. And I'm going to stay off of it if I can. However, if you guys find some Vivel Dot for me out there, put it in the comment section so I can do my research and see if maybe I can at least have some on hand. And if I really need it, maybe I could even just take a little patch once a month. But otherwise, I'm going to be completely cold turkey off of it now. So that's where we're at, guys. But I just wanted to share my story, share a little bit of hope, show you what God's doing, show you that He's working. He's obviously protecting me, healing me, helping me. And that's where we're at today. So we're in June of 2024. And I guess, like I said, I'm officially hormone replacement therapy free by default, and it's working so far. I am going to do another video for you though here maybe within, I'm going to say 6 months to a year of follow-up video on this to let you know how my body is still responding and how it is, because I'm sure there will be maybe some changes as we go on, but hopefully they're very mild and minimal. And I can't wait to tell my doctor what happened. He's probably gonna be like, oh, that's interesting. So never a dull moment with Helen. Anyways, guys, have a great evening. God bless. And thanks for watching this video. I really do hope that this helps somebody.